Welcome to Higgins Eats Wisconsin, an eater's exploration of the Badger State. It's American Craft Beer Week, so of course we're going to talk beer. Specifically, can I find a fruited beer perfect for you? I'm your host, Dan Higgins, in studio. So of course there's a few hiccups here. I'm the Food and Drink Reporter, USA Day Network in Wisconsin. As always, I'm joined by Jim Rosendick, who keeps the show cooking and also does plenty of cooking at home.
I do.
So what have you been up to in the last week in terms of in the kitchen?
Oh, what did we make? What did we make this weekend? This weekend we did hibachi shrimp.
Oh, wow, nice. I just had shrimp last night. I love shrimp.
Oh, nice.
Shrimp,
Yeah. It was
not hibachi shrimp, but
no,
okay.
but it was good stuff. We did it on the grill. Well, you know what? Instead of talking about it, why don't I just show you?
Sure. Oh,
So here's all the ingredients right here.
Oh, zucchini, my favorite.
Yep.
You know how much I
zucchini
love
and-
zucchini.
So there you go. There's all the prep right there. 3 different shots. Now this is what we call a Teppanyaki sauce, or like a dipping sauce for the shrimp.
Okay.
So that was.
So is that just a little seasoning that you can just mix up with something and then basically away you go, or is there more to it than that?
No, it's a kind of a sauce mix that
Okay.
we can put together.
Nice.
And
All right. For dipping, so you get some oil going on here on the grill, kind of
little oil on the grill
indoor grill here.
or griddle. And then
Griddle. Yeah, actually that's a griddle.
onion. Yeah, then
Look at
cutting
that.
those things a long way is a real.
It's
kind of a pain.
Yeah, I had readers try to convince me that I should do more cooking with zucchini, and there are a couple recipes, but generally it's softer stuff, soups and that kind of thing. But so I give you extra bonus points this week, Jim,
Why is that?
for using zucchini and having it come out good. So looks like you season it, you kind of splash it with what you got going on here, or like a
little soy sauce on
Okay.
top of those,
Yeah.
and then keep them going. It was at what did we have it at? 400.
okay.
So then we put a little more oil on. Then we knocked the right side with the zucchini and the onion down to 240, so let it kind
Mm-hmm. Okay.
of simmer. And then
All right.
we kept the shrimp there, and then threw on the rest of the garlic, if you will.
Yeah.
Got to keep your hand under the lemon because
Yeah.
you got to catch all the seeds, which you still never catch because 2 or 3 slip through.
You have beautiful hands, Jim.
Oh, thank you. Oh, hey,
we got a cat.
Carl.
Cat was ready for the shrimp, right?
Yeah, he
probably,
was.
Probably didn't care so much about the
I
vegetables.
get some, right?
Yeah, all right. So there you go. So
Yeah.
just, I'm assuming and shrimp goes quick. It's like, what, a couple of minutes probably?
Yeah.
Boom, boom, done.
I would say the cooking times vary from the recipe, but all in all, they'll tell you a minute or 3 minutes here. It didn't happen that way
Yeah.
for us.
Okay.
But I think I have the recipe over here somewhere. Let me check that out. It might be right there. We go, right
Oh,
there.
You go.
So
Shrimp, there you go, 400.
kind of
Yeah.
had that.
Soy sauce, yeah. So, and how was it? How did the zucchini? Did it come out okay? Was it mushy? Was it?
No, it was good.
Yeah.
The one thing is they have it cut so long, and to me, you don't need to keep it long because, well, we try and eat everything with chopsticks. Not everything. I mean,
Well, that would be something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those pieces would be.
so
Wow.
yeah. So
That's
we
like
try and
expert
at least
level. Yeah.
try to do it with chopsticks. But I say, if you want to do the zucchini, half it. You cut it the long way and then cut it in half, and that way it's a little easier to
Deal with.
deal with on the with the chopsticks. I mean, if you're getting a fork, go ahead.
Yeah.
But no, it came out well. It
Nice.
wasn't soggy or anything like that. So
All
it was good. And then the teppanyaki sauce was good. Now we used actually it's an Epicure thing for that. The unfortunate
Epicure,
thing
is that like a brand name?
yeah,
or
it's just a
something?
brand name.
Okay.
One of the things you'll find out when you're on when you're in a pandemic and you order, oh hey, let's check this out, let's try that.
Okay.
And this it's an online thing. It's not, you're not going to find it in stores.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and this is a really good sauce. It's kind of a you smell, it's kind of like sesame based.
Oh yeah. Oh, perfect. That like gives you every. Yeah. That's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was like their February test.
Uh huh.
So I'm not sure whether you can get it or not.
Okay.
But I think if the demand for it is out there, they'll probably say, hey, let's give it a shot. But it's really good. Otherwise, I mean, they usually call dipping sauces what are they? Yakiniku sauce, I think it is, and literally it means grilled meat sauce. But you can find that stuff in the grocery stores.
Okay.
So
Cool.
To each their own.
There you go.
I guess.
So yeah, I've never attempted that. So that sounds like something to keep my eye out for. So I went old school this week. I had a reader send in a recipe for toffee bars. So I tried out her recipe, Vicky Wormza. Oh boy, I just pronounced it Wormza. Wormza? All right, so there you go.
You're going to have to have these guests put
Live
in
video.
pronunciations.
No, that's
for the
my
names.
pet. Anyway, so she sent it in. This is a recipe she really liked. Her mom would make it around Christmas time a lot of times. And then she would, even when her mom hid it like in these tins, she would seek it out. And she's like, it didn't last long in our house. And now she makes it for her family and everything. But it's this is a great, got some guests dropping by and unexpectedly maybe, in about a half hour you can have these things together and ready to go. And you probably have all of the ingredients right there. You're talking about, just flour, brown sugar, some chocolate chips, a little bit, and butter. And that's pretty much it, a little bit of salt. And then if you have some chopped nuts, that's great. You can throw them on there. I made part of the pan without the nuts because we have a nut allergy. Some of our family happens to have a nut allergy. So they were still great. I think you could probably use other flavored chocolate chips if you really wanted to.
Okay.
But bam, and then it's done. And I'm going to guess this is an old school recipe. I'm going to guess there's probably like a million versions of it around where it's like, no, 2.5 cups, no, 2 cups.
Oh,
no.
yeah.
It's always off by a quarter.
Yep.
No, a cup and a quarter of brown sugar, whatever it is.
Everybody's
or
got
2
their
eggs
thing.
or whatever. So, you do need one egg and some vanilla extract too for the base there. But yeah, basically you just you mix together the base and then you press it into the into the pan. Can rhymes with pan. I'm looking at the beer. And you bake that for 20 minutes or so, and then you pour the chocolate chips over the top, and you put it back in the oven for another couple of minutes. So basically, all you're doing is getting the. So yeah, here's the video. I did a whole video on this.
I mean, this is like professional stuff you see on Facebook quality.
My $30 ring light I ordered off.
I'm
Amazon.
ashamed.
Anyway, so yeah, you cut it to butter, 1 cup of butter. That's often those are nice. These little pastry thing like that is real quick. I would probably, if I were going to do this again, I would just process it. Honestly, save myself the hassle. But I wanted to see how's this going. Not everybody has a food processor. I like to do these stories that are more for average.
Okay.
So we don't have a thing. So you spray it up, boom, press it in. Bake, and then like I said, you take it out, and then you basically are putting it back in the oven for, after it comes back out, after you put the chocolate chips on, and it comes a couple minutes, and you just get them melty, and then you're going to see, you just smear it, and then you just sprinkle the nuts on. And I think you've seen the end result, so yeah, there you go. I would actually, and here again, I haven't gone through it once, I would probably use a rimmed baking sheet, because the crust isn't too deep. I think a rimmed baking sheet will handle it. Make it a little easier when you're smooshing that on there. Throw on some nuts. You have to have pecans, and it does go great with the coffee. I confirm that.
Ooh,
that's the kind of
that would be
research.
nice.
It's the kind of research I do for you.
I appreciate
folks, for
that.
everyone, Jim.
And everyone should appreciate that.
So anyway, but the other thing it would go well with is a beer. I think it would go well with a stout, porter, maybe even something. Is that what, I mean, when I go to desserts, is that where you go to? I mean, it just seems like.
I'm always going towards that bourbon barrel, but I because bourbon barrel stout, or even like the Louis Resurrection, which is a bourbon barrel amber, I believe. But yet there are some stouts and porters out there that are it just goes great with something, like what you made there with those bars.
And and you look at even like I think the cherry bourbon barrel from Central Waters, they actually, when they barrel age it, they actually re-ferment a little bit, so you get a little extra fermentation going on with Door County cherries. And that's hard, and they've been doing that for a while. But the fruited beer thing has really taken off, and it shows up in a lot of different ways now. And got kind of a sampling here of beers to look at.
Perfect.
I
Look
don't
at
know,
you.
whatever,
That's
hand
awesome.
model. Yeah. So anyway, but speaking of cherries, we're just going to start, and there's a lot more in cherries. There's passion fruit, there's, tangerines, there's oranges, everything, every kind of fruit you can imagine now the brewers like to use. But if for a comparison of kind of the range too, I think sometimes people might think, oh, it's fruit, it's just going to taste like fruit. I'm like, there is quite a range on that, and starting right here with the the county cherry wheat from Door County cherry wheat from Hinterland. We're going to try this. Yep, there you go.
Hey, you got
There you go.
You got it down. Nice
Yeah,
work.
off the ring. That is all credit for that little trick goes to Grant Pauling and Brad Stillmake. Like literally, I was out.
And they don't ruin
Talking
their
to
rings.
him. No, and
That's
like both, I
impressive.
saw them both do it like within a week of each other. I was talking to them for different stories. Brad Stillmake up there, but anyway, so you'll see. Oh, look at that lovely pour. So anyway, you can kind of see. Look at that! Wow, that is fantastic. That is somewhere an angel lost its wings because of the way I poured that beer. Anyway, but you can see, you can smell there's definitely a cherry smell coming out of here. If you take a whiff of that.
Oh yeah.
It really does smell good, but it doesn't, it's still, there's a little bit of a red color in there, but nothing more than you might find with in an amber. I've certainly seen ambers that are more red than that. But at the other end of the scale with the cherries, again, Door County cherries on New Glarus with their Wisconsin Belgian red. This is, now this is a wheat style beer to start with, which is your basic wheat beer, right?
All right.
That's kind of got that wheat flavor. This is more in line with like what we consider alambic, which is a centuries-old tradition of brewing beer in Belgium, specifically. And sometimes they use cherries or they use raspberries, kind of very common thing. So it's kind of in that vein that they did this. And if you look at the description on their website, they'll tell you pour it into champagne flute, and you'll see why. And you can see now you're getting a much darker red. You're getting much more to the, you're getting much more into that red amber type color. If you see them, and even the smell of the cherries is different there, right? I mean, it's much more.
Wow.
Right? It smells like, in essence, it smells like wine. Whew, right? Or a sparkling wine of some sort.
Yeah.
And you can see the little bubbles going here. And it really does taste that way. This one is going to be more of a wheat-flavored beer with a little bit of cherry, the way you might have a little bit of lemon or whatever flavor that you would squeeze into something. I mean, that's where this one's going to drink. This one, like I said, is going to drink much more like, much more like wine or champagne or something like that. So it really expands the range of what you can expect in beer. Now, in between there, in between these, there's a whole range of what brewers are doing now. Shandy's been around, the shandy style, also sometimes known also rattlers. That's another one that's been around for a good long while. And that's basically a mix of like lemonade or some sort of grapefruit juice or something like that with the beer. And you're kind of getting to the point where the beer becomes more of the supporting role, whereas, here you're like more, like I said, there's still a good amount of wheat flavored beer in there, and you get more of the hint of the cherry. I mean, there's a significant cherry in there, but it's a very surprising. This is really a good beer too. I really like this beer. But so the summer shandy's getting more that way, and then another one that kind of gets into that range is this Tiki Time from Three Sheeps, and he uses, actually, I was talking to Grant down there at Grant Pauly, who's the founder down there, head brewer, and he talks about in here. It's going to pour up, and you're not going to, because it's passion fruit, and passion fruit doesn't necessarily have the same level of color as something like a cherry does. So you're going to pour that, and you're going to look at it and go, wow, that looks like, it's a golden ale at its base, which is a very, like a blonde ale or whatever. It's kind of in that vein of blonde ale, Weiss beer, or a wheat beer or whatever. But yeah, this one's going much more heavy into the fruit flavor, and you're going to be able to smell the passion fruit. We need smell-o-vision for this, but you can definitely smell that in there.
Great.
Yes. Again, this is a seasonal that he's been doing. This is the third year they've been doing it. It's because it just became such a popular beer. Obviously, summer coming up, it's perfect time for this kind of a thing.
When did fruit beers explode so much? I mean, it just seemed like it was overnight.
Yeah.
You saw a little bit of the shandies, but then all of a sudden, bam, everything just hit.
And what they're looking at, right? Yeah. And considering it's been around for a long time, there was a little burst of like, I remember, I don't know, maybe what, 7, 8 years ago, there was kind of this little burst of these gozas, which are kind of like along the lines of a shandy in a way, or a rattler kind of in that area, or more so sour a little bit. And there's a little burst of it, and it kind of died off, but then it just suddenly, I would say last 5 years, is when we really started to see it. I think what happened was the hazy IPAs came out, right? And it kind of moved, and it moved along, and then from there, it seemed to evolve to these milkshake IPAs, which added lactose to them. And then at the same time as that was going on, there were also, I think the sour beer started to come up. Infectious Groove, which from Also Brewing is a kettle sour. That kettle souring kind of caught on. And that's a process that basically takes the beer and becomes a very crisp, refreshing beer, very low ABV. So it becomes a perfect summer beer. And it's kind of beer because it's very tart. It's not sour, it's more tart. It really lends itself, obviously that's going to lend itself to fruit, right? I mean, you think of like lemon and all that. Or even then you can balance it off, use a blackberry, which kind of balances the tartness, and you can really start playing with these flavors on the beers. And I think those two things kind of started to merge at the same time. And then I think also what happened is the fruit companies started to realize, hey, it takes a lot of fruit to get the fruit flavor through. And Oregon Fruit Products, they actually started their own, they created a dedicated team to just working with brewers and other fermenters with fruit. So it became a lot easier. Grant talked about this too, Grant Pauly at Three Sheeps, about how it became so much easier to source fruit. Like, This is like five years ago, it was kind of a pain in the butt if you wanted to, if you want anything more than the typical raspberry or something like that, if you wanted to, and even expand beyond passion fruit is becoming kind of a common one. But so I think that's what happened. I don't know. Is best, and that seems to be kind of, as I talked to the different brewers for the story, there's a whole big story in this. I go a lot more in depth on a lot of that, but I think that was kind of the general consensus. So here's, you're gonna get a pour
This
of
is a milkshake IPA.
This is a milkshake IPA. So the reason it's milkshake is there's a lactose addition to it, and now it's kind of becoming cloudier, and it but it's still very IPA-y-ish, so it's going to, right? Tangerine, you can smell it, definitely smell
man,
tangerine.
I just want to drink this right now. Oh, that's good.
Yep.
That is tasty.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's tasty, but it sure smells good.
So that lactose adds in there. So now with the fruit here, again, it's not going to take over. You can smell, that you're going to get the hop bitterness. You're going to get some of the IPA, maybe not at the same level as a traditional IPA or something like that. But that should still be here. A good brewer, when they're doing a milkshake IPA, is still going to have very much an IPA quality to it. It's just going to be maybe a little bit creamier. The color is going to be a little bit different. I've seen other ones that are even more pale than that in terms of depending on how much lactose, depending on what they're using or their kind of additions. I don't know if it's lactose that gives it that pale color. But this kind of fruit end of it grew out of, I think, the IPA strain. Meanwhile, that the whole kettle souring, the sour beers, kind of took off. And I think what grew from that, a lot of are these slushy style beers, or sometimes they call them smoothies. And this is where
that's my kind of smoothie.
So it's not. Oh, look at that! We made a mess.
All right. Well, yeah.
So anyway,
you don't get dirty, you don't play hard.
But this is Beer Mosa, and this is from Badger State Brewing. And this is, oh my gosh, the orange is just unbelievable. The amount of orange flavor you can, just the minute you crack it open.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
What's this one called?
This is called Beer Mosa. So think like mimosa, where you do the champagne with the beer.
Oh my God.
Or champagne with orange juice.
Aptly named.
So here they're doing beer with, the orange juice. Now, at the base of this is what I was talking about, a Berliner Weiss style, a kettle sour beer is at the base of this, okay? And that was that style that kind of really took off. But look at the orange color in there. But they have been doing, Badger State years before they got into this, this is part of their Tiki Tom series, which are focused on doing slushy beers. And they're kind of, a lot of the slushy beers that they do there are kind of takes on Singapore Sling, Mai Tais, whatever, so beer mosa. But they were doing these beer mosas, but they were doing a much more of a in-house type thing. They have a barrel room where you can rent out for wedding receptions, other things. They would host brunches now and again, and they would basically take the Walloon wit beer, which has some of those qualities, or a lot, and sometimes I think they took their session, their Green Shop session IPA, and they would just blend it with some orange juice there, and so you have beer mosas there.
Right.
And eventually they just kind of decided, they just brought this back recently, but now at the base is the sour beer, not the wit beer, not the other thing, with the oranges in here to really bring that out. And their style's a little bit, and the thing is with slushies too, is you can find, it's going to, be a little bit more viscous, a little bit more pulpy, if you will, because of the fruit addition. Some places will ferment the beer completely and then just add fruit puree right in there as a blend. Okay. And that'll be, some of those can get, I've had some that are really thick,
really?
Yeah,
like
they're
names come off the top of your head?
There was actually a collaboration between Badger State and Lionsdale Brewing in Neenah. I was just like, you're drinking it, and it's like the texture on that one was almost like if you had if you took an actual slushy, like the real slushies, and it just was but wasn't quite so icy. It really had that slushy texture to it, feel to it. And so there are breweries out there. I think Eagle Park has some what they like to use the term over-fruited. Okay. So to give you a nice sense of like how much fruit they're slamming into these beers.
You can I can smell the aromas from well, all of them really.
Yeah.
It's just starting to fill the studio here.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. And it smells really good because if you can't smell it, you're missing out. We need smell-o-vision, I think.
We need to invent that. So I think there's a wide range of things. I mean, I think there are people that are just going to be like, I want my beer to taste like beer, and that's that.
So what do you say to seltzer drinkers? And because the seltzer thing is so big right now, there's no real, to me, in my opinion, there's no flavor with seltzers.
All right. So what's going on with hard seltzers is generally, let's face it, let's be honest, the appeal is low sugar, low calories, right? I mean, that's a big part of it. You can enjoy those and an alcoholic drink with minimal amount of calories and sugar counting against you, carbs. Being the devil, that's the devil these days, I guess, in the food world. So the way they achieve their flavors is the same way you achieve flavors in a 0-calorie soda. You use an extract to mimic the flavor. Okay. Right? You're not putting actual fruit in there. These, a lot of these are putting it. I can't speak to Lion Kugel Shandy how that's made, but they're using real fruit in the process of making this. A lot of them are. Some of them will use an extract, and that's fine. So getting back to hard seltzer, you put the extract in there, and that keeps, so you can kind of mimic this fruit flavor without adding calories, right? So like Badger State just recently started doing some hard seltzer in-house in their tap room, but they're using fruit in the process of making that hard seltzer. Now it's going to have more calories, and a little bit more carbs, a little bit more sugar than the White Claws of the world, but it's not going to come close to a beer like this. So I think that's where the hard seltzer is, and I don't know that this is necessarily going to be an answer to that crowd. I think where this captures people are people who don't necessarily like the flavor of beer. Okay. Especially once you get on the far end of getting the slushies and some of these and these lambics and some of that kind of stuff. I think that's where sours in general. Okay. I think that's where you start catching, and that's one thing that Mark Buttera at also said. He's like, they'll have people come in with guests and they're like, well, I don't drink beer, I drink wine. He's like, okay, I can usually hook them with some sort of a sour beer.
All right. Now something with these, I mean, you could have a whole can. I mean, I don't know that I could do 2 cans of these. Maybe
No.
I could, but I don't know. But if you do have one of them, I mean, you could essentially, have 3 seltzers per one of those.
Probably, yeah. So it depends what you're after.
Yeah.
What are you after when you're out drinking, right? I'm not going to accuse people of just wanting to get.
So, like these two, do those is that a 4-pack? Is that a 6-pack? I mean,
It
16
depends.
ounce. So I'm assuming.
These are these come in the Badger State sells theirs 16 ounce 4-packs.
Okay.
A lot of times the slushies you're going to see 4-pack, 16 ounce cans. That's the way I'm generally seeing them.
Right.
And because of the amount of fruit in here, and fruit's not cheap, probably looking in the neighborhood of $15 for those 4-packs. So
Still, that's
it's up there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, now New Glarus ages this for a year. I think this was the one for a year. One of them they age for a year. I'm pretty sure it's this one. This is in 4-packs as well. That I just got today, $11 for a 4-pack of this one. And I don't have an exact price on that one, but when I look at them, I generally, and it's going to depend on the brewery. Some have economies of scale, right? I mean, they're doing, once you get big enough.
Yeah.
I think that's why New Glarus can be down a little bit, is because the bulk, the size, they've got a much larger program.
Yeah.
So at a time, I think they're able to, brew at a more cost-effective way. But we started adding fruit in, expect to, especially with the slushies, pay more. The tiki time, even though there's a lot of fruit in there, I think the prices here are pretty much in line with most of the other seasonals.
Yeah.
They were on sale. They're on sale right now. I think it was $8 for the 6-pack at Festival. I think they were kind of the featured thing this week. I don't know how long that's going to go on.
But being a specialty beer, it's higher quality. You're going to pay a little more. You always pay more for quality.
Right.
Just how
Well,
it
and in
is.
craft beer in general, I'm like, you're $8 to $10 for a 6-pack is pretty much what you're going to pay for most of them. I think this was this was on sale too. Festival was rocking it today. I think I got a 6-pack of that for $8. But I think that's going to be. I think it was 10, closer to 10 for a 6-pack of that cherry wheat, if I remember right. Don't quote me. Don't go on Festival demand things, but that's just give you a ballpark where you're at, what to expect. But yeah, I think if like I said, the only people aren't really gonna like fruited beer are people who want beer just to taste like beer.
Okay.
And that's fine.
There's plenty of that out there.
Everybody's got their thing, but if you're a little bit adventurous, you want something, especially during summer, you want something a little bit different. I think that's where a lot of these beers kind of come into play. Definitely
going to give some of these a try, because usually my summer go-to beer is Milwaukee Brewing Company's Citrus Hoppy. So
and a fine beer. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean,
really
again, that's got that real strong kind of grapefruit flavor to it, right?
Yep.
And that's an excellent one. One I look forward to every year is Lion's Tail does a grapefruit Hefeweizen shandy type beer. It's just wonderful. I really like grapefruit with that Hefeweizen style beer. I don't know why I really gravitate towards that. But so there you go. So if you don't like any of these or don't think you like it, you're probably just like your beer to taste like beer. If you're more into wine and cocktails, then I would say the slushies and look at some of the lambics. There's also a raspberry tart from New Glarus and Serendipity. Along those lines, the raspberry, which is kind of a blend of apple, raspberry, and cherry in this kind of a style of beer. So there you go. Thank you for taking the time to watch this today. Big thank you to our subscribers. Without you, this is impossible. If you're not a subscriber, please consider it. Most subscriptions are around about $10 a month for a digital subscription. Best part about digital subscription, Jim? No recycling.
No recycling.
There you go.
Unless you use charcoal, you need newspaper.
Well, there is that. Sometimes I do run into that. But until next time, you can follow along on my exploits on Twitter, Instagram at Higgins Eats. I also have a Facebook page. We jump into the discussion there. Love to hear from you. But till then, may your cheese curds be squeaky.